November 2000, a peaceful suburb outside of San Diego, California. Michelle Renee, a single mom, had just arrived home from the bank where she worked. She planned to spend a quiet evening with her 7-year-old daughter, Bria.
So what are you playing?
We heard the loudest noise that you can ever possibly imagine.
What? Want a little picture?
I began screaming.
What are you doing? Stop! Stop!
Now, let's go. Don't move.
What was going through my mind was that they're here to kill us.
You know what, your brother? Stop it, your brother's gonna get hurt. Then take, let's go, LeBron.
They bound me. They began duct taping my hands.
You do what I say, nobody will get hurt, okay?
Okay.
All right?
Okay, yes!
And very quickly they said, "We understand you're the manager of a bank down the street." And I knew in that moment that they were there because of my job and my position at the bank.
Just stay there, you little brat.
They eventually lifted me to my knees and spun me around so that I could see Bria. And she was laying face down on the carpet, taped up with a man in a mask with a gun at her.
Oh my God! What are you gonna do? Honey!
It just ripped my heart out. She looked at the man and said, "Are you going to kill my mommy? Are you going to kill me?" And the man said, "If your mommy does everything we tell her to do, then we won't kill you."
Michelle got a closer look at the three men. The one in charge, who she began to think of as the talker, spoke on a two-way radio. There was a big man guarding her and a thin, wiry man holding Bria.
They then showed us sticks of dynamite and said that they were going to be with us all night and said that they would be strapping us with dynamite in the morning and they would be forcing me to go take money from the vault of my bank while my daughter stayed back with two of them. When I saw the dynamite, I thought we were going to die.
At one point, Michelle asked to use the bathroom. The talker went with her.
I flipped on the light and I spun around and he was standing in the doorway. I looked at his eyes through his mask and in an absolute blank, I thought, oh my gosh, this person was at my desk today.
Let me take you over to my bank manager. She's the one who's going to be able to help you out.
As manager of the bank, she often handled new accounts, and that afternoon, a man had come in and asked to speak with her.
He told me that he was soon going to be inheriting a large sum of money. He told me he needed information about opening accounts and investments. He gave me a business card, and I put it in my top drawer of my desk.
The man's name, Christopher Butler. Michelle suddenly realized that Christopher Butler was the talker.
And I immediately looked away and my mind started reeling. You can't let them know that you know, or you're dead and your daughter's dead. And they would tell me, you will do everything we say. If you try anything, if you try to leave this house, there are 6 people outside that will kill you. I began focusing on holding my daughter, telling her just how much Mommy loves you. I just knew that if we were going to die, I had to say everything that I needed to say to her.
But Michelle was also making careful mental notes.
I watched them around the house and picked up on every single little piece of information I could. I was measuring them to the appliances, to the cabinetry. I would notice the brand on their jeans and the kinds of shoes that they were wearing. It gave me something else to focus on. If we live, I'm gonna nail them.
The robbers settled in for the night. At 6 a.m., 3 hours before the bank opened, the robbers put their plan into action.
He said, "It's time to strap you with the dynamite, let's go."
Hold up your shirt.
And they taped Bria so tightly. She was asking, Mommy, what is that they're putting on me?
What are they putting on me?
Shut up.
I didn't want her to be even more scared, so I didn't tell her. I was just crumbling. I was absolutely crumbling. They sat us on the couch and said, you have 10 minutes to say everything you have to say to your child, because you might never see her again. She was wiping my tears and saying, I know you're gonna come back. I was like, yep, I am. I'm gonna be back, so we're not gonna worry about this. And I am gonna be back, I promise.
On a morning in November, Michelle Renee was on her way to work, something she did every day. But on this day, she had dynamite strapped to her back, a gun in her ribs, and instructions to rob the bank where she worked as a manager. Michelle had been forced to leave her 7-year-old daughter Bria back at the house with 2 of the armed robbers and dynamite strapped to her back. She had been warned if she didn't go through with the plan, the man hidden in her back seat would set off the dynamite.
And their words were, if you don't want your daughter to disintegrate, this is what you will do.
8:30 a.m., Michelle arrived at the bank. The man she had come to think of as the talker handed Michelle her briefcase with a duffel bag inside. She was told she had 5 minutes from the time the Brinks truck made its delivery to get back to the car with the money. If anything went wrong, his finger was on the detonator.
I just felt like every step was a tick of the bomb.
Michelle had 2 things on her mind: executing their instructions perfectly and finding the business card that she thought the kidnapper had left the day before.
The first thing I did was go to my desk and open the top drawer to make sure that I was correct about the card. And I saw it sitting there.
Just before 9, the Brinks truck showed up and guards brought in the daily allocation of cash. As bank manager, Michelle was responsible for the delivery. After the guards left, Michelle brought one of her employees into the vault with her and explained what was going on. She showed her the dynamite.
And she said, oh my gosh, I can't believe what's happening. I was horrified that my employee was seeing this and I was doing something so unthinkable. And just remember my hand grabbing money and putting it in a bag.
Oh my God, it's please. Oh my God.
Moments later, Michelle walked quickly out of the bank with a duffel bag containing nearly $350,000 in cash. The talker ordered her to drive. He told Michelle he would let her out, then leave her car about a mile away. The car was where he had said it would be. With the dynamite still strapped to her back, Michelle drove home as fast as she could. The robbers had fled.
Bria, honey! Bria!
It was the most unbelievable feeling of relief and joy, and oh my gosh, there she is, and she's alive, and she's so precious and beautiful.
I gave her a hug, and I was really, really happy.
Michelle cut the dynamite off of Bria and herself. Bank employees had called 911.
Miss Renee, will you tell me how they entered?
They came in the back door and they all...
Police and FBI agents arrived and questioned Michelle for hours.
It was amazing the details that she was able to tell us. Partial license plates of vehicles, very accurate descriptions.
But the most important clue was the business card, which led them directly to Christopher Butler. Police arrested Butler and his 2 accomplices, Christopher Huggins and Robert Ortiz. The money bags were found in Butler's car.
With her kidnappers behind bars, Michelle thought her nightmare was over, but it wasn't. At his trial, Christopher Butler pointed the finger at Michelle, claiming she had planned the entire robbery herself.
The defense attorneys were saying that I was having an affair with one of the criminals, that I strapped my own child with dynamite, that I was the mastermind behind the crime.
For 2 days, Michelle was put on the stand and cross-examined by the defense. They argued that Michelle should have taken the decoy money from the vault. Instead, she took nearly $500,000 in unmarked bills, which, according to the defense, proved that she was involved.
The reason Mr. Butler and the defense had to take this strategy was that if Mr. Butler could get up and admit to the bank robbery and admit to having a weapon, those are far less serious charges than kidnapping for robbery.
But his strategy didn't work. Christopher Butler was found guilty of both bank robbery and kidnapping. In a separate trial, his two accomplices were found guilty of the same crimes.
Chris Butler was sentenced to 3 consecutive life sentences, plus 64 years. I was elated, just elated.
Not one piece of evidence, not one interview, not one confession implicated Michelle. I can guarantee you 100% that she was not involved.
The strength and courage that she showed that night saved her life, saved Bria's life. This could have had a different ending.
Next, two mothers bonded by tragedy. The extraordinary campaign they launched to catch their children's killers.
I'm gonna put their faces up there because somebody's gonna ride past and it's gonna touch them all night, all day. They're not gonna be able to sleep.